We live in a digital age. It has its perks, but there are also some disadvantages we may not forget about. Organizational culture was always an important topic in the business world. Nowadays, it became a necessity to survive. McKinsey's recent survey found out there are three main problems with the culture of organizations. 1. Risk aversion. 2. Misunderstanding of the needs of the customers. And 3. The functional and departmental silos. Calculated risks. Taking risk is not that easy, failure neither. But failure is not necessarily something bad. Ed Catmull of Pixar said, "One of the things about failure is that it's asymmetrical with respect of time. People are afraid to fail. They think it will be impossible to overcome. They don't want to take the risk. However, looking at failure in the past, they say it only made them stronger. According to Catmull, it should be safe to fail." Capital markets have always been for rejecting risky investments. In the digital era, however, it became more complicated. The organizations have to experiment, be open-minded to new markets, etc. It is crucial to survive. On the other hand, it's more scary now because of the great transparency, less stable advantages, and the winner-take-all dynamics, which makes the cost of failure higher. One thing is sure, you have to take the risks. It is the executive's job to decide whether they'll be the only ones acting bold or the whole organization. An appetite for risk. An important thing in organizational culture is trust. The senior leaders have to let workers innovate, try things out that might fail. The manager should not always control their employees, they should also give them some freedom to make decisions. However, the workers who feel they are trusted are not enough to achieve success. They have to have the skills and get the required information to be able to make these important decisions. Outside hires could also be a good idea as it can implement disruptive thinking. Empowering for frontline employees gives the organization also desired information. Who, if not them, are the most close to the clients of the company? Given the information and authority, the workers are able to better understand the company's vision and know how to help a client in the most effective way. The managers don't have to waste their time for the tiny decisions and the customers are happy with a quick solution of their problem. Making bold bets. Empowering for frontline employees doesn't mean that senior leaders don't have any job. They are the ones that have to take really bold decisions at very large scale. Therefore, they have to set up aggressive goals and be able to reallocate the resources every moment. Digital disruption is an important topic for CEOs. The biggest companies know it and already taken offensive moves. The New York Times, for example, decided to double its digital revenues in 5 years. Allied Irish banks agreed that the customers have to be able to open an account in maximum 10 minutes. After achieving this goal, they saw the rise of 25% in opened accounts and also a fall of 20% in costs. Quick resource reallocation is another thing that companies nowadays should be thinking about. The needs of the customers are changing rapidly. Therefore, it's necessary to reevaluate the businesses, and that's what the top players do. They determine whether they have to invest more or less, and which market to join or to leave. Taking a lesson from Blockbuster's 2010 bankruptcy, which came only 3 years after the start of Netflix streaming business, some companies look ahead. General Electric, for example, invested more than $1 billion in their new platform, GE Digital. It's their first business unit in 75 years. Customers, customers, customers. Even though companies had always the intention to get closer to their customers, the digital age is forcing them to actually do so. Both on- and offline companies such as Amazon and Apple are expected to respond quickly to the questions of their customers, to customize products flawlessly and to provide easy access to the information that they need. Customer-centric strategy is not optional anymore. Because of the digital age, the companies have to give the attention to their customers, but it's not a bad thing. It can help reduce the risk of experimentation and support the right change of the organization. You can have the real-time information about products or services from the end users. This process not only helps the expansion of products, but it can also make the companies closer to their customers. Data and tools. To create a customer-centric organization, there are different tools and data. Creating the right data to the right decisions can build the understanding of a customer's need into an organizational culture. To offer the customers the additional items based on their previous purchases, using the customers' reviews and the algorithms that share what customers who looked at this item also bought can really make changes into the organizational strategy. A unifying force. Customer centricity can become a unifying cultural element that drives all core decisions across all areas of the business. Operations and the strategy must be commonly refreshed in today's rapidly changing environment. Customer-centric organizations are prepared for the emerging patterns in the behavior of customers by integrating structured data such as demographics and purchase history with unstructured data such as social media and voice analytics. Digital culture will be a contributor to failure in case a company operates in silos. Silos are parts of the organization that don't communicate, talk, or work together properly. This causes them to have difficulties working together. It's often seen as a more structural than cultural issue, but often employees within silos will hesitate to share information or collaborate across functions, which can be destructive to organizational culture. In the past, silos were not a big issue compared to what they are now. In the digital age, they have to become more costly because of the importance of working cross-functionally and driving customer centricity into the everyday operations of the business. Silos will slow this down or make it impossible. Many executives agree that siloed thinking and behavior form obstacle number one to a healthy digital culture. One thing to look out for is the fact that employees can only interpret what they encounter through the lens of their own know-how and experience, also known as the blind man and the elephant story. When employees lack insight into the broader context in which businesses compete, they will be less likely to recognize the threat of disruption or digital opportunities. As a result of this, every part of the organization will come to different conclusions about their digital priorities. Where in the past you might have time for all parts to come to the same conclusions, this is now different. In the digital age, you have to move fast. Siloed organizations will often be late at recognizing problems or opportunities, which will lose them competitive momentum and might even harm their business. Solutions to give employees a common sense of the overall direction and purpose of the company are data and management rotation. Solution 1. Data-driven transparency. Data might fix the blind man and the elephant problem. A business could collect, analyze, and distribute data across silos. This would in turn create a central database with information about all silos, creating visibility and a better understanding for each silo to make it easier to understand each other. Solution 2. Management rotation. Rotate executives between siloed functions. This can be done at all levels of the organization and help to create a more consistent understanding between different business units regarding capabilities and help to create informal networks between employees and then build relationships in different departments. This could also help to solve the second main issue of a siloed culture. A second symptom of a siloed structure is the tendency to believe a given issue is someone else's responsibility. This could be countered by institutionalizing mechanisms to help support cross-functional collaboration. An organization has to create multidisciplinary teams, which would include diverse functions such as marketeers, engineers, product developers, etc. When all united, they could share their view on the customer and form a common definition of success. These groups have to focus on end-to-end business outcomes, forcing a broader picture on all the team members. All members would also be mutually accountable for the outcome, eliminating the not my job mindset. Conclusion. It is important to remember businesses have to create a shared understanding of business priorities and why they matter. You have to supply your employees with a lot of context and data so they can adapt accordingly to the changes that are appearing ever so fast. To achieve this, organizations should remove all barriers that keep employees from collaborating and build new mechanisms to encourage this. Remarks. After explaining the three main problems with culture in organizations, we need to add some critical points and reflections on the current evolutions within those organizations. Number 1. Data. As mentioned before, the essential strategy is making data and information available to all employees as a part of the customer-centric organization and data transparency. Of course, the protection of those data should be captured very well in many ways. From outside the organization, it will become easier to get to the information of such an organization as it is spread within it. From within, employees get more information available. Trust is here a very important factor. During their time at the organization and maybe even after it, employees are capable of damaging the organization by having a lot of information about its customers and its strategy. Strategy made available by undoing the silos. Cross-functional. For solving the silos and the blind man and the elephant story, cross-functional management was mentioned. A very smart way of homogenizing the organization, but not without breaking a sweat. This also means managers have to have some working in time and maybe further education in order to work in another silo. Not impossible, of course, as is seen within the examples, but an important note seemed thus. Culture adaptation. A new era has come and old school culture disappears. Culture won't be possible doing it old school because companies with culture for a digital age are far more efficient and competitive. For a starting company, it is therefore essential to develop this culture if wanting to succeed. A very important remark seemed thus is it will take a lot of effort for a starting company to get into this new culture and be competitive with the others. The culture in some companies is so well working, it's almost impossible to catch up for starters. At the meantime, they have to make sure they also develop a company and not fail by giving too much attention to this new culture. It is therefore an essential to work with this new culture, but also a risk as it takes a lot of effort to start it. Thanks for listening. Bye.